The job numbers are out and they're way worse than expected. And if you've been watching my channel for any time, I said that there's something not right with these job numbers. And, a lot of people were saying that, and a lot of people said, no, 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 the economy's great. So now these numbers are out, and it's shocking because they're now saying that there's 818,000 fewer jobs created than they've actually reported because those were off of surveys and all this other stuff. So now they have till February to come out with the actual numbers. And so estimates on CNN and all these other ones are saying that there's actually 1 million plus jobs that they've reported that there's been created and actually didn't happen, right? And so people are like, oh, provide some good news, right? Do something good. And you know what? You've now been informed to make smart decisions. And when I'm telling you all this stuff, that's not for me to fearmonger, to do bad things. No, it is to inform you so you can do with your finances what is right for you. And now you have the information and you do not go out and buy a car, do a big purchase, and then being in the doo-doo in the dumpster because you made purchases that you shouldn't have done because you thought the economy was great, we're in an upwards market, and you spent money that you didn't have, right? Or that you thought you're gonna get, but then didn't happen. So now with all these job numbers out there, like that they're starting to roll in, it's looking really, really dark on the horizon with these jobs, right? And we've been telling you about this, there's not that many jobs out. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. Be cautious. Don't do big purchases and, just dial it back because it's just not good right now. And when I'm looking at, the forecast and I'm looking at all these, all these people talking about, like, oh my gosh, interest rates need to come down, interest rates needs to go up. We're at a spot now where we're like in a cross of bad and worse because when we're looking at these 818,000 job creations didn't happen, that results into policies that they need to pull the trigger on to make it so people can get jobs again, because that is going to be a huge part on voting come fall, right? Because it's all right talking about migration, the southern border, talking about all these other, Second Amendment, talking about abortions, talking about all these other things. But what people, this is my personal opinion, but people need to have jobs, regardless of what's going on in around the world, Ukraine, Israel, all these things are all secondhand if you cannot feed your family. We cannot go as Americans and cure all these other spots or get involved while our people in the United States do not have jobs and cannot pay the taxes. Because if we're not paying taxes, how are we going to fund all these other stuff? You can't. You just can't do it. There's no mathematical equation of us actually going out and fixing all these other places and giving money to Ukraine and doing all this kind of stuff if America doesn't have jobs, right? And so a lot of people say, oh, we just print money. Yeah, we print money, but we need jobs. We need jobs to back this whole thing up. And we need to have people going to work and doing things. And, creation and kind of working, right? But, now that they've lied about these numbers. And the saddest part is, Jerome Powell, sitting on the fence says, oh, job creation numbers were better than reported, so we're good. And now we're starting to find out that they were not good. They were not good. They were not good at all. And now we're like, hey, you made decisions based off of these estimates that came out. And now you're like, oh shit, they reported all these fake numbers. All these numbers were way off. And now we're like, oh, we've overestimated how great the economy is. And one thing that I also want to point out is that once you're in these circles, in these high political circles, you're rich. You're filthy rich. You're not going to have the common American as a friend. You're not going to have these average Joes like me as your friends. You're going to have your rich friends. You're going to have people that are also in Congress, people that have a lot of money. And, you're going to be buddies with Jerome Powell and you're going to be buddies with, CEOs of, Goldman Sachs and all these other ones, right? And then when you have that, and Nancy Pelosi and all these other ones, right? And when you're friends with these people, there's nothing wrong with that, but these people have they have no touch on how the economy and how the US consumer is doing, because they're rich. They're like hundreds of millions of dollars rich. So then when you ask these people, they're going to say, oh, it's great. My buddy Billy just bought a 50-foot yacht, for 35 million, and we're all going to go party. And, that is not reality. That's not the average consumer. The average consumer is, in a massive amount of debt, in a massive amount of, credit card debt, in a massive amount of, home loans and all these other debts. And now we're trying to, justify it and saying, oh, the consumer's still spending money. Yeah, because you need to have, you need to go to the grocery store to buy groceries, because if you're not going to do that, how are you going to eat? And so when these numbers come out, all these job creation numbers come out, and they're saying, the economy's doing decent. Well, shame on you for believing that, right? Shame on you. And now, a thing we need to always remember is that this is just temporary. This is just temporary. So don't think of it as it's the end of all, right? It's just a phase. And for people that are like, starting to get worried, at one point there will be an upwards trend in the market again, right? And we're going to do better. And people on my live yesterday have been saying, like, this doesn't make any sense because companies are reporting bigger and bigger profits. And my CarMax video wasn't too clear, but if you're charging people so much more interest on these cars and you have fewer sales, but you're making it up with your own in-house lending and you charge them so much interest, then all of a sudden your profits are way through the roof. And is it good? No, but is it, is it the facts? Yeah, it is. And so then you got to be cautious and making the right decisions for your family. And this is why I'm making these videos. So I'm basically telling you that you need to do your own research. Don't take my word for it. Don't listen to what General Powell says, because he has no idea what's going on. And delusional, most of them are, just telling you, it's going all great, it's going great, vote for me, vote for me. And then, oh, we're going to fix it now on day one. And then, they get in and day one turns around and nothing happens. And so what you got to do is make sure that your finances are your number one priority. Because if you're not doing that, then, and you're not watching videos that people are talking about, hey, this might not look that great, and you're not educating yourself with all this information, then you got to be, then you got to be, how do you say it without, sounding rude? Then at one point you just got to be stupid. You just got to be stupid, because you now know that it's not that glorious. People are getting laid off. Look at all these layoffs that have been happening. You saw that layoffs is going through the roofs. Everybody's been letting people go. And when you're seeing tech layoffs, Silicon Valley lets go of Intel, Dell, Tesla, Microsoft. These are bigger companies. And I've been telling you guys, the dark numbers of all these things is so big that I can't even, I don't even know, because everybody did layoffs. And smaller companies, small businesses, they all did layoffs. And besides Tesla, somebody actually sent me an email about, Tesla actually hiring. Tesla actually hired 800 people. But that was offset by General Motors actually firing all these people, right? Firing like 2,000 people or something. But that was the only company that actually hired in big amounts again, right? And if you want to send me an article or something, do it in the About section of my profile. And then, send me an email. So it's absolutely crazy. And connect with me on LinkedIn. Like and subscribe if you like this video. So what happens is all these big companies do layoffs, right? Tesla, Microsoft, as I said, right? So the next thing is going to be that these people that got laid off are going to be on the job search for a year. And it is very, very common that these people have to do that because they want 6 figures, right? And so when you're doing these layoffs and these people then cannot go to their favorite sandwich shop, to their favorite pizza shop, they can't go out and buy toys for their kids, they can't go out and buy, PlayStation games or what it is. And then these game developers aren't making the revenue, right? So then they're going to get laid off. Then you can't go to the pizza store. So the pizza place needs to do layoffs, right? Oh, we're seeing that on Monday's the slowest day ever. So we're just going to close down on Monday. That means we can let go 1 or 2 people. And all these things have a snowball effect. And when you have all these crazy numbers, right? Unemployment's on the rise, right? We have highest credit card debt, highest car delinquencies, right? Huge tech layoffs, all these layoffs and everything else, it just adds up to an uncertainty. And then, the government comes out and says there's way less job creation than they originally anticipated, right? So that isn't adding any positivity. What I would have loved to see is, actually fooling you guys. We've actually created 1 million more jobs than we originally thought. Those were the numbers that we want to see, but these are not the numbers that they're presenting, right? And so is this our fault for electing these people? I don't know. But what I do know for sure is that we vote with our wallets, right? If you don't want to go out and pay that 20% on a car, 29% on interest on a credit card, you just don't do it and you figure out different ways, right? So to sum it kind of all up and to kind of grasp where this all is going to be going is that we're in a rocky situation where it's going to be interesting to see where this is going to be going after the election, because as of now, candidate Harris hasn't even released her ideas of the economy, what they're going to do, because they're telling her, don't do it because you're in the White House, you could fix it. You could start doing stuff today and say, hey, I'm working on these things, or I've been working on them for so many years, but they're not. And it's smart of them to don't do it. And so we will see what's going to happen, but it can't continue to go down like this. So for these people that watch my videos and say, I want something positive, it cannot continue to go down the path that we're going, because this path is leading to destruction, and it's going to lead to mass unemployment and to, government stimulus checks and all this other stuff where we have to, do it. And now my prediction is that we're going to, in September, we're going to lower interest rate 50 basis points, right? Because we need to minimum, because a lot of commercial loans are going to be due in December, right? And commercial real estate is huge. When you look at, I saw this financial report from Salesforce, and they're paying, I think, like $2 billion in land, in rent, right, to these landlords. And State Street and BlackRock have a huge interest in Salesforce, right? And so they're telling the CEO, you need to force your people back to the office because we own these companies that you're renting from, and we cannot let these companies default because you don't want to pay rent. So it's a whole big cycle, and everything is so intertwined that you can't just make general statements of like, hey, the real estate market's collapsing or this and that, because it is so intertwined. And these big investment companies have such a broad reach now that they're like industry makers and breakers, right? If they're going to pull out, then the stock goes down. It's like Warren Buffett. If it comes out that he sold his shares, the stock just goes down even more just because he lost interest in it. And yeah, he's a market maker, right? And you and I are not. If you're watching this video, most likely you're just like me. We're just the common folks just trying to slide by and try to retire once we hit 50, 60 years old, right? And a key thing to remember is always that we have the power to say no. We can say, no, this is enough. Enough is enough. And you're going to do protest votes, or you're going to say we need to change something, and you choose to not spend money there, right? And it happened with Chipotle when they pulled back with that they wanted to do, that their portion sizes and whatnot. And you can do it again with, if you're unhappy with, with a company, you can just choose to not spend money there. And once you do that, then the company is going to be in struggles and they need to come back with something better, more price competitive and whatnot. Because McDonald's even saw a price, that their target audience is price sensitive, and so they had to reintroduce a cheaper meal, the $5 meal or whatever it's called. So people will come back to McDonald's because they're trying to establish themselves as a more premium product, and people don't have the money. People are broke, people don't have it, people are in debt, and then they come out and think of us as fools and say, the economy's doing great, the economy's doing great, and then job reports come out like, oh shit, 800,000 plus jobs haven't been created, and we thought they did. So somebody should be accountable. Somebody should have been accountable for that. But hey, it is what it is. I've been warning you guys. So the only way out of this is keep your job, keep your resume updated, keep your LinkedIn, network, and become an industry leader in whatever industry it is. Or start entrepreneurship or do something else on the side. And I've been telling you guys, just do a side hustle if you can. Go sell stuff on Etsy, try to do something on the side, because then you're almost immune to if something happens, if you can get some sort of traction, right? But you got to do it the right way, and you got to put in the time and effort it takes to grow it, right? And being a business owner teaches you a lot of things. It teaches you what it actually takes, licenses, you need to get insurance, you need to get all these things. And then if you grow it, you need employees, and it teaches you so many valuable things. And people have been telling me, oh, you should teach people how to run a business. And I was like, there is nothing to teach than you actually doing it. I could make a course or something else, but there's nothing more valuable than you going out there and making the mistakes and actually doing it. Because if you're going to go out there and do it, you start small. You start flipping lawnmower tools. You start flipping Snap-on tools. You start flipping cards. You start flipping anything on Facebook Marketplace. You can do furniture. You can build furniture and sell them on Facebook Marketplace. I just saw this entrepreneur guy that said he's making 20 grand a month extra with building furniture in his backyard and selling it. So there's so many opportunities for you out there. You just need to pick one, and you have a skill. You can make puzzles, you can make art, you can do all these things and kind of supplement your income, right? And then all of a sudden, corporate America is going to be really, really scared because you have the power and saying of walking away if you don't like it. And once you have the power of walking away and saying, nah, I'm not going to do that, you're in a position of immense power. So take it for what it's worth. And yeah, this is the video for today. So keep your money safe. Keep your money close to you. Don't believe what other people are saying. Just do your thing and try to save it. And I will say, when the economy is going to get better, we will make videos about it. And if we're in an upswing economy, so don't worry about that. And if you haven't, please like and subscribe my videos. Pretty sad thing about, the job creation, but hey, it's the government, it's you, it's who you guys elected, it's us as a collective who we elected. And yeah, I'd love talking to you guys, and gonna do a live again pretty soon, so tune in for that. And I love you guys. I appreciate it. You guys are amazing. And let me know what you guys are dealing with at the workplace. I'll see you guys in the next one.